The next one is to hide faults. Again, that's the goal. And the way that we do this is we really want to make ourselves look competent, so we hide any faults we may have. Now, some students get confused between number 3, to excuse failure, and to hide faults. Now, failure is an outright, you can't do it. You're a failure at it. You fail at something in particular. But a fault is something different, because our faults, while they lead to our failures, they don't always lead to our failures, because oftentimes, even though a relationship could ultimately fail by ending in divorce or ending in a breakup, it's our faults that come out in our relationship, and we have to manage those. As relational partners, we manage the faults of our relational partners, but it doesn't mean the relationship fails. How we manage those faults depends on whether or not our relationship's going to make it or not. If we can't manage the faults of another person, our relationship's ultimately going to fail. But faults are kind of those little things that we do that are kind of just a nuisance to people. So if you're going to hide your faults, you're going to use self-monitoring strategies. And this is where you're going to monitor what you say and do. So you may not use slang in your emails to me because you want me to think of you as an educated individual, or you want me to think of you as a better communicator than you are. And maybe you talk like a trucker, but you're going to hide that fault from me because you want me to like you and you want me to help you. And so you're going to hide those faults. You also don't want to look unprofessional. You may monitor yourself too closly, and then you'll be seen as somebody who's too secretive, unwilling to share and trust others. But hiding faults, I think, is a good thing to do on occasion, but not to overdo. I would hope that to my students that I hide the fault that sometimes I have a tendency when I get frustrated to yell, especially at my kids, and it's a terrible, terrible habit, but I try to hide that fault from you all by not yelling at you. Of course, I'm not in front of you, so imagine that if you were annoying me in class, I could tend to raise my voice at you, but you won't be subjected to that, thankfully. But I would try to hide that fault from you if we were in the classroom and not raise my voice and yell at you, because I want you to like me, to believe me, and to help me by maintaining a positive atmosphere in the classroom. The next one, second to last, is to be followed is oftentimes our goal. I think we see this definitely in 5th and 6th grade, 7th and 8th even more, and then definitely into high school. We want to be followed. We want people to see us as a leader. We want people to see us as somebody whose behavior is worth copying. The strategy that we use is called influencing strategies, and this really refers to power, and we talk about power in chapter 12. But the way that we do it is we stress experience, knowledge, successes. So oftentimes you'll hear somebody bragging about the touchdown that they scored over the weekend or the home run. And what that does is it seeks to have other people follow us because we're a good athlete. Or we may tell somebody something funny that we did over the weekend, and you want them to follow you because you're a funny, charismatic person. Influencing strategies can backfire if you're always trying to influence other people by telling them what to listen to in terms of music, what to watch on TV, what to wear, what car to drive, how to talk. That would be very, very frustrating eventually, and people would just say, you know what, I don't want to follow this person. They're too self-centered and egotistical and critical of me. So if you want people to follow you, you have to really assert your position of power by telling them, what do you know, where's your area of expertise, or what's your role in society that gives you credibility. Oftentimes, me saying that I'm a communication teacher, people think that, oh, well, I should follow her style of communication. And I always say, well, just because I teach it doesn't mean that I do what I'm supposed to do at every second of the day. Last but not least, the 7th goal is to confirm self-image. Remember, all 7 of these need to be in your Breakfast Club clip, please. So in order to confirm self-image is we have to go back to the first part of this chapter and even figure out what is our self-image. Who do we think we are? And that's our self-concept. And once we know who we are, we're going to try to confirm that image that we're creating. And the way that we do that is through image confirming strategies. So we're going to engage in a way that confirms our self-image. So if I believe that I'm a nice person, I'm going to confirm that self-image by being nice to everybody. In fact, I may be even nice to those people who I shouldn't be nice to because maybe they're going to be taking advantage of me. There's also other ways that you can reveal aspects of your self-image through things you say, actions that you do. Oftentimes, I will say to people, I am a time user. I don't let a second of time go to waste. And so to confirm that self-image, I may find myself talking to my neighbor and saying, okay, well, tell me the rest of the story because I got to go. Or I may say to my husband, okay, I've only got like 2 minutes to hear your story, so make sure that, you tell it to me quickly. If my self-image is somebody who uses time, I may behave in a way that shows people how precious time is to me. But it doesn't mean that that's always a positive image for me to project or positive behaviors to engage in. So you have to be somewhat careful that your behavior reflects an image that you want to have, but that image doesn't shut down the communication process that maybe you have with other people. If you're constantly talking about yourself and trying to secure your self-image, it may seem that you're very self-centered and egotistical. So you have to be careful to make sure that you're only doing it at the right time. The reason why these impression management strategies are important and the goals is that we all have these goals. There's not a person out there that doesn't have a goal, all of these 7 goals. And so what we have to do is this is going to give you a greater number of choices in terms of how you respond to people, I think, more than anything. And that means that people who want to be liked can somewhat be frustrating because they may be overly polite, or they may be overly enthusiastic, or they may be overly helpful, or maybe they're kind of a control freak. But if you know that really they're just trying to be liked and that's their desire, then you may be able to say, okay, yes, it's an annoying behavior, but I know they're just trying to do what I want to do, and that is to be liked. And that goes for all of these things. To secure help, that's another one that you have to keep in mind. When somebody's venting about something, it may be a cry for help. It may not be, but how much of a hero will you look like if you say, hey, do you want me to help that? Even if they're venting and being very negative, you can resolve that negative situation and say, hey, let me take a look at it for you. So there's ways that we can take these goals to heart, modify our communication, keep it in the back of our minds so that when people act in a way that's frustrating or just irritating to us, we can say, you know what, they're just trying to do what I often try to do. So hopefully those impression management goals will be something that you can clearly write about in the movie clip from The Breakfast Club, and that when you do list the strategies that are being used, you're very, very specific by using information from the clip. So specifically, what did that person do that showed us that they wanted to be followed, and why do you think that? So be thorough. The more explaining you do and the more specific you are, the better your grade will be. That's all of Chapter 3. We'll be on to Chapter 4 next week. You guys take care.